The last thing she said before boarding the plane was, "Don't guilt trip me. We already spent $8,000 on this vacation. My name is Logan Miles, and 3 weeks ago my 17-year-old son, Dean, died in a car accident on a rainy Tuesday night. Drunk driver. Wrong turn. Instant. He wasn't biologically hers. He was mine from a previous marriage, but she raised him since he was 6. She helped with homework, sat at his basketball games, called herself mom in front of strangers, until the moment came when it actually mattered. The funeral was scheduled for Saturday. She was supposed to fly to Hawaii on Thursday, a work vacation that magically included a male co-worker she'd been collaborating with more often lately. I asked her to cancel. Told her Dean would have wanted her there. She didn't hesitate. "I need this break," she said flatly. "His death is your problem, not mine." And that was it. While I stood in a suit beside a casket, she was sipping cocktails by a pool in Maui, posting sunsets and hashtags. She never texted. Never called. Never asked how the service went. But I didn't argue. I didn't shout. I didn't even cry in front of her. I just did one thing. I cut her off. The locks. The accounts. The shared line. The cards. All gone. Quietly. Cleanly. She wouldn't know until she landed. And when she finally came home, glowing from the sun, suitcase full of souvenirs, her friend, no longer pretending to be just a friend. She found the house dark. But waiting for her was something far more illuminating. The Uber dropped her off just after midnight. She had that slow, lazy walk, the kind people have after a week of spa massages and resort breakfasts. She was laughing into her phone as she rolled her suitcase up the driveway. Then she saw the locks. She pulled out her key, tried the handle, and stopped. Tried again. Pulled harder. Looked around, confused. I watched from across the street. Car parked. Engine off. She didn't even realize I'd see her try the code on the side door, the one she insisted we install for convenience. It blinked red. Access denied. Her friend, now boyfriend I assume, was sitting in the passenger seat of a rental car down the block. I saw him shrink behind the windshield as she dialed my number. Rang. I let it. She tried texting. "Why can't I get in? Did you change the locks?" "Logan, answer me. This is illegal. We're married." She wasn't used to silence. She finally noticed the envelope taped to the front door, my handwriting on the outside. "For when you're ready to face yourself." Inside was a single page. A photo from Dean's funeral, me standing beside the casket, alone. Below it, "You made your choice. Now I'm making mine." I waited until she left, dragging her suitcase behind her, screaming into her phone about lawyers. She had no idea what else was coming. Because while she was posting pineapples and pool selfies, I was speaking to Dean's biological mother. And what we were about to do together would remove her from everything, with the same cold finality she gave my son. Most people forget that when a child passes, custody ends, but legal rights don't vanish. And while she wasn't Dean's biological mother, she was still listed on several emergency, medical, and financial documents as a step-parent, including one policy she probably assumed I'd overlook. She shouldn't have assumed. 2 days after she left for Hawaii, I called Dean's mother, Rachel, my ex-wife. We hadn't spoken much in the last few years, just polite check-ins around holidays and shared updates. But this time I called for something more serious. I said 4 words. She didn't show up. Rachel went silent for a long time. Then she said, "Tell me everything." I showed her the texts, the screenshots, the social posts from Maui, the bank statements, and the final voicemail my wife left me after I asked her to cancel the trip, where she said, "Dead is dead. I'm not wasting a plane ticket." Rachel didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just asked, "What do you need?" The answer was simple. Everything she was entitled to. We reactivated Rachel's power of decision on Dean's remaining insurance and savings accounts. We formally revoked my wife's authorization on anything connected to him, school, medical, memorial trust. I filed a statement of removal as step-parent beneficiary on every document. Rachel co-signed. Notarized. Then I sent a letter through my attorney to my wife's email. Subject, Dean's Affairs, final notice. Inside, one line. "You had a choice. We're making ours." Attached, copies of the removal forms. By the time she checked her account, she wasn't just locked out of the house. She was erased from my son's legacy, the very legacy she'd once pretended to care about. And I wasn't done yet. 3 days after she got the letter, she showed up at my office. Unannounced. No warning. Just her, in oversized sunglasses and a forced expression that tried to look calm, but couldn't hide the desperation underneath. "You went too far," she snapped the moment she walked in. "This is personal grief, not a war." I didn't answer right away. She kept going. "You locked me out. You embarrassed me. You cut me off from everything I helped build. Over what? A trip. You're punishing me because I needed time for myself?" I looked her straight in the eye. "You abandoned your stepson's funeral to sip piña coladas with another man. You made your position very clear." "I'm just honoring it." She scoffed and muttered, "You're overreacting." I opened the drawer beside me and slid a thin stack of papers across the desk. "Family court documents," I said. "Filed yesterday. Petition to dissolve marriage on grounds of emotional abandonment, moral cruelty, and intentional neglect. Everything is itemized, dates, texts, photos. Your refusal to attend Dean's funeral is on record, and so is the vacation." Her eyes darted across the first page, reading fast, but she didn't flip. "Also," I added, "our prenup activates under abandonment. You remember that clause, right?" That was the first moment she actually looked afraid. "I gave you the chance to walk away quietly," I continued. "You chose to mock grief with sun hats and cocktails." She stepped back slowly, like the room had tilted beneath her. "You'll hear from my attorney," she muttered. "I look forward to it," I said, because what she still didn't know was that I'd already spoken to hers. And he wasn't exactly thrilled with her either. Turns out, her attorney had already reviewed the prenup. We'd signed it 8 years ago, back when we were both optimistic, practical, and careful. She had insisted on a clause protecting her boutique business. I had insisted on a clause protecting my son and the house I'd inherited from my grandfather. There was one line, often overlooked, that said, "In the event of intentional emotional abandonment, any joint claim to inherited property, funeral insurance, or estate allocations shall be void." It wasn't a standard clause, but I'd insisted on it. Dean was my only child. I'd planned for worst-case scenarios. I just never thought the worst case would include her. Her attorney, Michael Trent, called me directly. We'd met once at a charity gala years ago. "I'm withdrawing from representation," he said flatly. She withheld key information from me, including the funeral and the voicemail. "She played herself," I replied. He sighed. "I'll be honest, Logan. I've seen a lot of messy divorces. But this one? I don't know how she walks away with anything but her suitcase." "She already did," I said. "Hawaiian print and all." He didn't laugh. Just said, "Good luck," and hung up. Later that day she texted me again. "You're seriously doing this? Over one missed funeral? You're destroying my life." I stared at the words for a long time, then replied, "Dean missed his whole future. You missed one day. But the silence after? That's what ended everything." She didn't reply. But 2 hours later I got an email alert. Her emergency access to all shared accounts had been formally deactivated by her new temporary legal counsel. Which meant one thing. She knew she'd already lost. The court date arrived quietly, no fanfare, no press, just the two of us in suits we hadn't worn since Dean's memorial. She sat 2 tables away, flanked by a lawyer I didn't recognize. Younger. Less prepared. I didn't look at her. I looked at the judge. Our filing was airtight. Voicemails. Text. The prenup. Rachel's co-signed affidavits. Witness statements from the funeral. Screenshots of her Hawaii posts time-stamped during the service. She didn't contest the evidence. She couldn't. Her attorney didn't even cross-examine. He requested a brief recess, and came back with a single request. "My client wishes to retain her vehicle, and asks for a no-contact clause to be mutual." Mutual. As if I'd ever speak to her again. I agreed to the car. It was leased in her name. Let her deal with the balloon payment and rising insurance. The house, the accounts, and Dean's memorial assets remained fully mine. But before the judge closed, he said something unexpected. "This court doesn't usually comment beyond the ruling, but in 22 years, I've never seen a clearer example of abandonment dressed as entitlement. Mr. Miles, I hope peace finds you. Ms. Miles, I hope reflection does." Bang of the gavel. She left without a word. Later that night I found a small envelope taped to my front door. No return address. Just my name. Inside was a single photo. Maya, Dean's childhood dog, now old and graying, lying beside his urn in the living room. Rachel had taken the picture. She'd moved Maya in temporarily, said it helped her grieve. I stood there for a long time staring at it, and for the first time in weeks I let the tears fall. Not for her. Not for the marriage. Just for my boy. She had made one mistake she never expected to matter. During her Hawaii trip, while Dean's funeral was taking place, she posted dozens of Instagram stories. Nothing unusual in today's world. Drinks by the beach, dinner plates, a slow pan of a hotel balcony while a man's voice laughed softly in the background. But she didn't realize some of her stories were public. Or that the date stamps matched almost exactly to the funeral service's scheduled time. I didn't touch them during the trial. I never submitted them as evidence. But now, they had a different purpose. Dean's high school had set up a private memorial website. A place for friends, teachers, and extended family to share memories, photos, and farewell messages. I had access as his parent. So I uploaded something new. Not her name. Not direct blame. Just a side-by-side post. Left side, a still photo from the funeral. My hand on Dean's casket. Right side, her story, tropical drink in hand, laughing, time-stamped within minutes. I wrote nothing. No caption. It didn't need one. People figured it out. Fast. Messages poured in. Quietly. From her own friends. Some from former colleagues. A few from extended family. I'm so sorry. We didn't know. Unforgivable. I never responded. That wasn't the point. The point was, truth has a way of surfacing even without a voice. She disabled her account 2 days later. And I re-uploaded a final photo, Dean at age 6, holding up a finger-painted sign that said, "Thanks, Mom." It wasn't meant for her. It was from a time when the word mom meant something. Now it was just a title she'd walked away from. The mail slot clinked one morning, a soft sound easily missed. But I heard it. Inside, a simple manila envelope with no return address. It was from her. I recognized the handwriting immediately. She didn't dare knock. Probably afraid of what she'd see, or wouldn't. The life she walked out on had moved on without her. The locks had changed, the rooms repainted, the photos rearranged. Even Maya, Dean's old dog, had a new rhythm now, slower, gentler, but peaceful. I opened the envelope cautiously. Inside, a one-page handwritten letter, a plane ticket receipt, and an old photo of Dean, laminated, creased at the corners. The letter was short, barely coherent. "Logan, I know there's no fixing what I did. I can't explain why I froze, why I went. Maybe I didn't want to face the truth. Maybe I thought it wouldn't hurt as much if I wasn't in the room. But I see now, not showing up was louder than any words I could have said. I'm sorry. I hope one day that matters." It didn't. Forgiveness is for those who try, not those who flee. I tucked the photo of Dean into a drawer with his old basketball cards. I kept it not for her, but for him. As for the ticket receipt, it was dated the day after the funeral, meaning she could have come back early, chosen to be present, chosen him. She didn't. Weeks later, the divorce was finalized. No contest. She kept her boutique in her car. Everything else returned to the man she left in the dark. Sometimes justice doesn't need lawyers or courtrooms. Sometimes, it's just a locked door, a quiet house, and a name that never comes up again. She got her mail, and nothing else.